Good afternoon, ED 7305. I wanted to touch base with you as promised this week to talk about the last module. Congratulations, we're nearing the end of the course. I know that there's been a lot of information packed in this 5 week period, and I really appreciate all of your hard work. I know that I've read through and graded everything up through Module 4, and all of those grades are posted along with feedback. Many of you did a great job really narrowing the scope of your problem statements, and I appreciated reading about the interviews that you conducted with your campus principals. So that literature review part 1 was really starting to investigate the problem statements that you identified and really narrowing that. Hopefully you included in that first literature review a little bit of information about your campus, the problem statement that you identified, your conversation with your principal, and then you're going to start telling me about what the literature says about your particular topic. Some of you, I think, were a little bit confused about that, so I've asked you to please set up a time to talk with me Friday or Saturday, or even on Monday if that works better for you. I really want to touch base with you if you're struggling with this assignment. This last module then digs a little bit deeper. So we're going to kind of talk about all the assignments left in this last module. So what you're hopefully already doing right now is reading the comments that I provided for you for your literature review part 1. You're beginning to work on your literature review part 2, which I had due on August 10th, which is tomorrow, but I'm going to extend that to Monday. That way you can do a great job on that. And so I will extend that for Monday, which will be August 13th at midnight. And I'm hoping that that will help you as you're working. So let me talk to you a little bit about literature review part 2. What that is you're going to go back and you're going to reread the needs assessment resources that were provided for you. You've already looked at your needs. You've already created a needs assessment. Now that you've talked with your principal, you've done some literature review to really look at the problem. And that problem, some of you identified the problem of teacher retention, I remember. So you're really going to be looking at maybe teacher training, teacher pre-service training, comparing. One topic was the need to have more qualified teachers in the classroom, or teachers who were prepared on the pedagogy needed to be a successful classroom teacher. That might be your topic. If that is your problem statement, our district lacks highly qualified teachers. If that's a problem statement, your retention rate, then you're going to go back and look at that needs assessment handout, and you're going to do some additional research on that problem. Maybe your problem statement dealt with literacy. I saw a few problem statements that talked about the decline in reading, writing, scores, and even I think other scores, which can also affect your ability to score high in math and science and social studies. So perhaps you have a literacy issue. Maybe that is your problem statement. Is a literacy issue. After talking to your principal, you've identified that. Then you're going to go back, look at the needs assessment again, dig a little bit deeper, and you're going to research literacy initiatives. Or maybe your problem statement was professional learning communities. Maybe you've identified that as a need. Maybe your professional learning communities aren't being ran appropriately, and you and your principal feel like having a stronger professional learning community that is focused and implementing some of that learning by doing DeFore work that we talked about earlier this year. Maybe that is your approach. If that is, again, you're going to go back and look at your needs assessment. You're going to start looking for research studies. Or maybe your problem statement is dealing with writing, which is also a literacy issue. All of these are problems that I have. Somebody mentioned vocabulary as a need, as their research topic. So you're going to go back, look at your problem statements, look at the needs assessment handout, and then you're going to go and do some additional research. Now, some of you did not really find literature that supports statements. When you're writing a literature review, you really don't have an opinion. If you have an opinion, it must be supported by research. Now, this is academic, scholarly research, okay? This is the action research. This is the book, Action Research. So putting something on a website is not necessarily research. That's just a website. That is why I had Betsy Evans from the library create some videos on how to use our library database so that you can find scholarly journals to support your statement. So I'm going to walk you through. Let's say that vocabulary, I have met with my principal. I did my problem statements, my needs assessment. I'm going back, looking at the needs assessment, and thinking about the conversations and the research I've already done. And I really want to focus on my research topic on vocabulary and ELL learners. Okay, so I'm going to go back here to the library, and I'm going to search full text, scholarly peer-reviewed articles, and I'm going to type in vocabulary, ELL learners. And when you do that, you're going to get scholarly articles that you can now use in your literature review. So if I'm looking at this, here, improving vocabulary instruction in individual reading interventions with English language learners. Bam, that's exactly what I'm looking for. So I'm going to pull this up, and I always like to look for full articles here that are, I can get the full text. And hopefully it will open. Of course it's not because I'm videoing. Let's see if this works. Here we are. Okay, I'm going to go in and I'm going to read this article. Hopefully I can get the article. It's not. And if something's not working, know that you can email our librarian or me, and we will try to get this for you. Let me pull up a different one here because that's not. Let me pick a different topic. Another topic one of you is researching, I believe, is literacy in elementary school. I'm going to put ELL for ELL learners because this particular person is in a school that might be experiencing that. So here, developing literacy in English language learners, finding it from a review of experimental research. So I'm going to click on that. And now I have an article to see how this particular study utilized components of literacy to help utilized strategies to help with literacy. And notice there's something with vocabulary here. Okay, so I'm going to read this, and it gives even some strategies here that I might use. And then I'm going to go up and I'm going to cite using APA. There's a citation tool here. So I would cite in the text. If I'm going to cite these strategies, I would cite this in the text. So you're going to go back and clean up your literature review. This is your second attempt at the literature review. It should be digging deeper, looking at the needs assessment, but referring to actual cases, actual action research, actual cases of other organizations and school districts who have attempted to address your topic. That topic might be vocabulary. That topic might be literacy. It might be teacher retention. It is the number one topic that you and your principal decided was where you were going to focus. It could be professional learning communities. It also could be that you did some research and you found that there wasn't much research about this topic. If that's the case, you would mention that in your literature review. You might say, I found a wealth of information that professional learning communities are beneficial, but there is a lack of research really investigating the quality of professional learning communities. That could be something that you mentioned. So you're going to go back and you're going to rewrite your literature review. And in this portion, I want to see scholarly articles. This means that you have gone to the library. And I know that some of you have already done this and you found 3 or 4 sources to cite. I want to see actual examples of research. So if I go back here, let me pick a different topic and we will pick, we'll stay on this topic. All right, powerful tools for ELL using native language concept mapping to teach English language learners. All right, this might be something that we can use. So I'm going to click on it. Excellent article. Okay. This really gives a great example of strategies. However, I don't have a methods of research here, so I don't know if this is going to help me. That would be good to use in my literature review as strategies that I might want to incorporate. But let me see if I can find okay, this is a pretty big topic, so let me narrow this. Research study. Okay, so here is one that we're transforming English language learners' work readiness as a case study. And this, she was elementary, so I would need to narrow this so that we could. Okay, here's one. Academic effects of peer-mediated intervention with English language learners. Okay, so hopefully I can get full access. There's another one that's not working. So in that case, please email me if you need this article. I'll try to get Miss Evans to look it up for us. It's from middle school. All right, this is looking at reading comprehension for ELLs. So here we have a purpose for the study, the methods that they used, and how they coded the study. This is a qualitative study, and their findings. Okay, what did they find from this study? So from their study, it looks like and I'm not really familiar. I haven't read this entire article. Actually, this is a study looking at other studies, so this is even better. So they actually reviewed 15 studies that investigated this topic, and they coded themes that came about from this, and they try to synthesize all of these to get kind of an overview of what these 15 studies found. And here's what they found. Essential role of vocabulary knowledge in English reading comprehension. So we know that vocabulary is important for reading comprehension. They found information about the use of the first language, bilingual strategies. So these are all things that could help you if you were in that situation. Now, so you're wanting to really dig deeper and look at actual research case studies. That means there's a method, there's a population that was researched, there's a results piece to the article that you're reading. Again, none of these are going to be found just on the internet alone. Perhaps in Google Scholar, where you're looking at scholarly articles, but your best resource is your Sul Ross library. The second assignment is looking at a data collection plan. You are to interview a curriculum specialist. That might be a literacy coach. It could be a curriculum coach. It could be an instructional coach. It could be your assistant principal. But if you could find someone in the curriculum office, that would be great. And you're going to go up to them. You're going to talk about your number one, your research topic, your problem statement, and you're going to ask them to sit down and talk to you for a few minutes about the issue that you're investigating. And you're going to ask them, now again, this is, you don't have time to actually conduct a real research study. We don't have time because this is in the summer. But what are some data sources that they would use in the real world to really look at this problem? So let's say that your problem is teacher retention. Maybe they have a survey. Do they give a survey out at new teacher training, which may be occurring this week, or they evaluate the training that they've received? Okay, maybe your topic is literacy. Do you have a district-wide literacy program? Or if so, are teachers trained? Is there a survey on that? Do they have a literacy? Do you have a literacy coach that goes in to observe, or maybe that's a data source that they use. Of course, your T-tests could be a data source. So what are the other data sources that you might use, and what would be a data source that they could need that they could use also in addition to what they're already using to help with this problem? So maybe you develop a survey, with them. But you're just showing a leadership initiative to really help your district attempt to solve this problem, and learning about the data sources that they are using or not using to address the issue, problem statement that you've identified. Okay, so that's a data collection plan. Right now, that's due on Monday. I'll probably push that back to Tuesday, the 14th. Okay. And then if you're not going to have time to gather the data, but we're going to pretend that you have been able to gather the data. What I would like for you to do for this third assignment, where it has data gathering in the real world, you would do all of these things. And then in the real world, when you're a campus principal or an instructional coach or an instructional lead, when you are an instructional leader, you're going to gather data that year, right? So how would that look in the real world? Okay. This is all fictitious, this third assignment. And I realize that that's kind of hard to do in this scenario. But try to write a report that would tell me how you would identify the trends, patterns, and potential root causes if you were able to actually collect the data that you highlight in Module 4, Assignment 2. So Module 4, Assignment 2, you're meeting with the curriculum specialist. You're talking about the data that you could gather to really track this problem, right? So if it's teacher retention, what is the data that you're gathering to track the problem, or what is the potential data that you could gather. And then your Module 3 assignment is as if you have gathered it, right? And of course, you're not going to have time to do that. And your 4th assignment is going to be a PowerPoint that you will actually present to the class. I'm thinking on the 16th because that's our last day of class. You need to turn it in that day. The PowerPoint should be a short PowerPoint that really highlights your literature review. You talk about what you've researched, your problem statements, your needs assessment, and then your literature review, and how you would go about solving the problem, collecting data, using the change process and the continuous improvement model to utilize the data, to then go back and again analyze your needs use the needs assessment to analyze whether you had gains in student achievement, and using that model to talk about that. And then you will then include a final reference list. Okay, I know it's fast and furious. I'm going to go ahead and close the video. Please know that I am in the office for the remainder of the semester. If you need anything, even over the weekend, please feel free to contact me. I'm here to help you be successful. I look forward to seeing your final product. Again, your second part of your literature review, you need to look at what the feedback that I gave you and improve it. Okay? All right, you have a great week, and I will see you next week.